code, which is to define in regard specifically to this aspect 65 ILCS 5/4-5-1, which states that the Commissioner of Council and Finance shall be the Vice President of the Council, and in the case of a vacancy in the office of mayor or the absence of inability of the mayor shall perform the duties of the mayor. The statute specifically mentions vacancy here. So the legislature was pretty clear of their intent for the Commissioner of Council Finance to act as the mayor when there is a vacancy. Now, we just had a municipal election, as you're aware, and for you guys, the commissioners, you have your elections once every 4 years, but there are municipal elections once every 2 years. The statute that defines as to when we would be having an election for the mayor is defined in 65 ILCS 5/3.1-10-15, specifically subsection F, which are just numbers to you guys, but it does state within that particular statute that if there is a vacancy in the office of mayor, and if there's an unexpired term in excess of 28 months, and there's at least 130 days until the next municipal election, and in the next municipal election, there would be an item for the election of mayor. So in April of 2025, there will be an election for the office of mayor within Clinton, Illinois. And the Commissioner of Council Finance will act as the mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Tom Edmonds says while it was abrupt, he thanks the mayor for his years of service to the city over a couple separate terms as the mayor.
And then that person that gets the position in the election would serve until the remainder of Roger's term.
That would be actually, yes, that'd be
20-year
term for mayor.
And I think, this gives us opportunity to thank Roger for his many years of service to the city. It was kind of an abrupt change here, having him leave like this, but he did put in 12 full years and about a quarter of this last year, so 12 and a quarter years. So it's a good deal of time, a lot of time spent with the city government. So we want to thank him for that.
Also at the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting, the council approved the plumbers and pipe fitters contract. The council approved going out for bid for the property at 523 North Maple Street in Clinton. The council approved the motor fuel tax summer maintenance bid to Ileana Construction for just over $96,000. DeWitt County needs a new animal shelter administrator again. At a special meeting of the DeWitt County Board's Public Safety Committee Monday night, an employee of the animal shelter aired several issues happening at the facility. Sage Lash is an animal control officer at the animal shelter and alleges there are several issues not only with the facility, but the way the county operates the shelter. She says Public Safety Committee Chairperson Megan Myers micromanages the facility and it's not needed.
And some of the issues that I wanted to address from working here for the past almost 3 months. I have a lot of things, but I will make it super short. For one, Second Chance is not giving us any money for the animals that they have pulled out. That's tax money that the people in DeWitt County are paying for. Me and Holly have taken care of all of the animals that they have pulled out. And from our knowledge, we did not know that they were supposed to be giving us money. On top of their $300, there were secret meetings held by Megan and Dan regards minus these people too as well after coming to the shelter. They were there in hopes to hopefully improve things. They improved some things. I know Megan was here to better the facility, but I believe that her guidance and micromanagement is not needed for this facility anymore. It's time for now me, as Holly has resigned, to be able to run the facility the way that we want to, the way we feel is right. Most of us are probably new to the facility and don't know how a lot of things work. I would love to show people how that works. I would love to show people about what the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. For one of the biggest issues we have right now, we have 3 bite cases right now. So the guillotine door that they have installed only works for one of the dogs. It's 2 of the dogs we have to take out by hand, and I almost got bit today twice. So there's that. I mean, I did use the choke pull, but that just makes them more upset. So there's that too. So technically we can't even really sustain what we have right now in the community with the facility that we have, nor do we have the people. Holly was sick today. I didn't even get half the facility clean because only one person cannot run the facility at all. It just can't. It's just not feasible.
John Wirtz told Lash, who also outlined the training requirements of employees in shelters across the country, it saddens him to hear the lack of attention animals are receiving because of the shelter being understaffed. Lash, who has been outspoken on the issue on social media the last week, and Wirtz told her blasting the issue on social media is not the way to handle the situation.
So I'd just like to say, first off, I'm sad myself. I left on vacation 3 weeks ago thinking everything was great. I've stopped by there many times and asked if you need anything at all. Never once a micromanager told you how to do your job. Just asked what I could do to help. And trying to catch paperwork up when I could. So I'm heartbroken. I know you bust your butt and I know you work hard. You and Holly both. But some of the things you just said were in this when you signed it. There's certification that we wanted you to complete to get the training that you need. We knew you didn't have it right enough. We're recreating, we got an influx of animals like we never had before. Like, there's some things, and I'll blame myself, okay? Maybe I should have been more involved. I should have been there every day, but then I'm micromanaging, right? If I come every day.
No, there's more into the micromanaging.
Okay, so I gave you and Holly both my phone number, my email address. Please call me if you need anything. As did I.
I think we were
And
scared.
I didn't receive anything, and I get this when I come home.
Yes.
I love both you kids. You guys are both hard workers. And I'm heartbroken. I really am. I haven't slept since I got home with crap. So we need to get to the bottom of this, and I know it's a big job. God bless you. We tried to volunteer before you got there, a bunch of us, and tried to do this. It's a tough job. No doubt.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've known you, your mom, your whole family all my life. There's ways to do things. Social media is a great thing, but to air your dirty laundry, I'm a little taken back. Like I said, I begged you guys to let me help you in any way, and then now we got this.
Stephen Runyon spoke before the committee and offered some scathing comments about the committee and county's commitment to the animal shelter.
Honestly, the fact that a young girl like this has been pushed this far to come and speak in front of you folks is absolutely despicable. If you guys cannot perform your duties as the people that are serving this county, then we do not need you on this board. You want to come and talk to us about, oh, well, we tried to help, we tried to do this. It's absolutely ridiculous. You either did or you didn't. And the fact that a young woman like this is trying to help the animals of this county, and we're trying to be a place of refuge for those animals, that's fantastic. But if we're not going to help these people, then there's no point in me having a DeWitt County animal shelter. You might as well just pack it in and just forget the whole thing, and we can be known as the county that abandons animals.
Mr. Runyon,
Yes, sir.
What is your definition of the animal shelter as it is?
It's a building that serves the purpose of the strays in this county so that we have a chance to rehabilitate them into homes. I don't know what else you need to know about an animal shelter. If I have to educate you on what an animal shelter is, that's not why we're here today. As serving member of this county, you need to understand what the purpose of an animal shelter is and what it is. For me, it's a place for animals to take refuge while we try to sort their situations out, get them into loving homes. If you would prefer not to do that as a county,
First of all,
then we are more than happy to not have the animal
we
shelter.
operate by state statute.
That's fantastic. State statute says these girls are supposed to receive training.
It talks.
They have received none.
They have training. All they have to do. is do it.
This is the training we're talking about. Okay, fantastic. I don't know a whole lot about this, but I'll say that. I applied for the same position that Sage and Holly have taken on. And I said right from the get-go to Miss Myers here that one of the things I would not put up with if I was selected for that position, which I was not, so that's fine. But if I was selected for that position, I would not put up with the kind of fighting in this house right here with money, all this other kind of things. If we as a county want to have the animal shelter, simply give them the money and the help that they need and stop with the tiptoeing and all the other darkroom shenanigans that we think we need to do in order to run this shelter. Because simply put, we can just shut it down. as taxpayers, we can just shut it down and not have it. So I don't know where the funds are coming from. Sir, I don't know why you're allowed to speak during my time. I get 5 minutes.
I know, but
But you're ruining my time here.
Question.
Runyon continued to defend Lash and exiting Administrator Holly Gelbach and adamantly insisted the board do better. Wirt says the county is in a unique position because the nonprofit group Second Chance for Pets works with the shelter to find home for pets that are fit to be rehomed.
This is a shelter. It has to be here. It's by statute, state of Illinois law.
So essentially, you're saying the only reason we put up with it at all is because you have to. So you're not willing to actually help the animals in this
That's not
county.
the case.
Is that not?
That's not the case.
Because you're saying we have to have it.
We have to have it.
So then why don't we put the effort into running it?
What we do is we walk a very fine line between an adoption agency and an actual kill center. Because we try to please the public by taking in the strays and the surrenders. Nowhere in the statute does it say surrenders can come to this pound. If they do, we have to charge a surrender fee and then also a euthanasia fee. Because if they don't get out of there within a certain period of time, we can't keep them a year. We can't keep them 4 months. We can't keep them 6 months.
Sir, I understand that. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about today is the people that work the shelter are asking for help and they are being pushed off, told that social media is not the place to air your dirty laundry. I'm sorry, sir, but social media is exactly built for this thing. It's built to expose things faster than papers, news cameras, anything else can. So when I see something like this on social media from a person that I respect to the utmost, it infuriates me because that's the only way I would have known about what's going on in this boardroom because there's no one else here to cover it. Do you see news cameras? Is there a newspaper? We have the local newspaper.
Sitting right at the
Yeah, the local Clinton Journal is here. I would not have known about this nonsense had it not been for this young woman's post. So the last thing I want to see is our county members talking down to a young woman doing her best, saying that this is not the place to air dirty laundry.
Your 5 minutes are up.
I'm sure they are. Thank you very much. Do better, you guys. Do better. That's all I'm asking as a representative of this county.
Christina Deerwester is a volunteer for Second Chance for Pets and is also a DeWitt County board member. She says a Second Chance was asked to step back from its involvement in the animal shelter, and they did so.
I'm a volunteer for Second Chance, have been for 20 years. I foster dogs through them and have volunteered countless hours at both our current shelter and the old one. And the only thing that I wanted to say is that Second Chance stopped doing evening visits. One, because we were asked to back up. We were being too involved and talking too much. 2, evening visits are not required for the animals. They were being provided to assist the animal control personnel with having less feces in the morning, if possible, to assist the animals with, if they were already potty trained, not having to poop in their kennels overnight. We did what we were asked. We were asked to back away, basically butt out and stop talking so much. We still go in and we take pictures. We still go in and work with the dogs. We still go in and try and get dogs out for foster. We have fostered and adopted multiple animals from that shelter in the last time in question. That's all I wanted to correct.
The board met Monday to discuss the future of the Animal Control Administrator. DeWitt County Board Chair Dan Matthews was in attendance and believes the position needs to be revised as it is too much for one person.
I think we should reconsider the position. I think the job description there is way too much for any one person in today's environment from what we've seen. I think you truly need an administrator that their job is to understand state law, ordinances, collections of fees, collections of past due fees, provide a path for training for the other employees. I think that I think it really, in my opinion, that needs to be recreated. And then at a minimum, we have 2 people like Sage and Holly that their only job is to go on calls, take care of the animals in the facility, and not have to worry about the paperwork and understand every law. Because they change constantly. As soon as we think we understand one, we find something else that says, well, for instance, I think we all found out we don't have to house those bite dogs. They could be quarantined at a vet, and that's what we should be doing now versus bringing them into our facility.
Myers says the county needs to advertise the position more broadly, and if they're going to do it right, it is going to require the appropriate staffing at the shelter.
Currently, right now, for the shelter, there are 2 positions. There's an animal control administrator, and then there's an office kennel assistant. There technically is no animal control officer, but Chairman Matthews and I both agree we need someone in that position. You cannot operate that shelter with a minimum of 3, depending on the situation and what municipalities we're covering, possibly 4. But that's something that if we have a chance to get the metrics of the information in the system, we can pull the metrics and see what exactly are we addressing. Because in my opinion, we either need to do this, you can't give somebody 60% of the resources they need to do 100% of the job. And that's what we've been trying to do. And along the way, we're trying to figure this out. So I definitely recommend that we move forward or consider what Chairman Matthews has recommended. We need additional personnel. And I think that administrator position needs to serve a slightly different function.
Well, where are you going to find an administrative person that's going to be there every day?
Just have to advertise for that person. I mean,
well, we did. And
right.
We had a person that you hired.
Well, I think we need to advertise it to a broader spectrum. We had basically just social media posts and some other, I think we need to look for, broader audience. And part of the difficulty with this, Melanie, is honestly, now that we've been in there, I've been living this for the last 7.5, 8 months of my life. There are so many moving parts to this position. If we're going to do it correctly, we have to have the staff to do it, and the person that has to be knowledgeable. And if we bring someone in and we keep things running at a minimum basis of what is just required, with the assistance of J&M, whatever we can work through, we have to get a chance to have these people trained before they're able to, or we're expecting.
Melanie Tilley proposed closing the facility or cease taking animals in until they can get someone hired. But that was met with opposition because there are already animals in the shelter and a small handful that are problematic.
But I don't know that J&M is really benefiting us at this time. I mean, the contract
J&M is a huge benefit.
But they are charging, $30 to go and then staying extra hours. I mean, is that a necessity that we have? The contract wasn't set up that way. They were supposed to come in on the weekends to help, and it doesn't appear that they're able to do that. So why would we not just say that their contract, they're not fulfilling their contract?
Who's going to take care of the animals at this point?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we need to close the facility until we can get somebody hired. Or quit taking animals. I mean,
What do you got to do with the animals that's there if you want to close? I mean, you got a 30 or.
I mean, how many animals are there right now?
We have 5 dogs and 3 that are bite dogs. And then we've got probably.
So you have 5 dogs total?
No, we got 8.
You have 8 dogs total, 3
Two
are
are bite
bites,
dogs
which
with
shouldn't
non-officer
necessarily be in
residents.
there.
3 are bite dogs. We have no clue what's gonna happen because I don't know what Holly's doing with pets. He was abandoned. That's something that she's handling currently right now. So I don't know if he'll even be out by the time that she leaves, and then I'll be stuck with him. He's already bit me, so I definitely don't feel comfortable dealing with him at all. At all. I do not touch him. I do not. Nope. He's in the guillotine room, and you can go in and out. I can close it. His cage is clean. He's perfect. He's fine, but his owner, he has a bite history that will go on for miles. So.
And what's the state, there's a law that says what you're supposed to do with those type of animals.
Correct. And I have not, because I was asked to step back from the facility, I am not aware of what's going on right now regards to each of the animals. So we would have to fall back on the staff to provide us that information.
As for the pet adoption group Second Chance for Pets, Wirtz says communication between all the parties needs to improve because Lash says Second Chance would also come in with expectations and opinions on how things should be done.
Did we not have a contract with Second Chance several years ago? Anybody know?
Oh, it's been we're talking probably 10 or more years ago.
I just want to add one tidbit since
Is that a
everybody else seems
possibility
free
to
to
look
add.
at?
A contract for second chance without needing spayed and neutered.
Will they put in so much time, et cetera?
That's
they
sad,
take
but
on
they
so
can
much?
still go.
Is that good?
Second Chance is low on staff as well, and I will say that no other shelter in this area charges rescues to pull dogs from their facility. The state statute said we are to work toward a live outcome,
Okay.
and
Now,
so
do they go out there and tell you what to do?
I'm sorry, what?
Second chance,
Yeah, everyone does. Everyone has their opinion. They text us, they call us, they come in.
that has not occurred for some time now. And that was all trying to be supportive and helpful and be available. And I will,
but see, there needs to be some communication from
it
us
does.
to
The
them
communication
on
needs to pick up,
their
yes.
roles, their roles. Is there,
But these are things that we need to work out, Tom,
Right.
and communication both ways has got to improve.
the second chance is very viable.
Second Chance has their own function. They're low on staff as well, and they run on volunteers. So I think the county needs to figure out how to do this on their own. Second Chance provides a vital function. but
We
they
got them
don't
back
have-
in there, but we want to communicate more.
Yes, then we should have something put in place that there's guidelines for that as well, but that's all part of the process. But
Lash indicates the county needs to consider coverage at the shelter for the weekends. She explains they get several calls throughout the weekend, and administrators in the past would not go out on those calls. Gelbach's final day at the shelter is next week. Lash encouraged the board to close the facility and make it by appointment only. The county decided Monday night to move forward with revising the job description for the animal control officer. News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. We'll wrap things up next on WHOW.
This is Scott Baum at Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We believe in putting customers first. That's how we started, and it's why we go the extra mile for our customers. Looking for a new or used vehicle? We have transparent pricing for new and used cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers. See all our pricing and pictures online at your convenience. Or come in and visit our full service team today at Clinton or Farmer City. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time, 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. The latest indictment of former President Trump brings a pledge to end the weaponization of government. That pledge from Ron DeSantis, one of Mr. Trump's rivals for the Republican presidential nomination. The indictment results from Mr. Trump's challenge to the 2020 election. Trump allies argue that Democrats have challenged every Republican presidential win in the past 2 decades or more. None of them have been indicted. Former president due to answer the charges in court in D.C. tomorrow. The case has been assigned to an Obama-appointed judge. Citing massive debt and a steady deterioration in standards of governance, Fitch Ratings has downgraded the U.S. government's credit rating. The White House and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen taking issue with that decision by Fitch. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 130 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. It's one step at a time for Decatur Eisenhower football in its journey to build a sustainable program. Despite a 1-8 campaign last fall, second-year football coach DeWan Johnson was proud of how his team handled the adversity of the season and the buy-in he had from the kids.
Again, what I saw last year was a group of guys who was dedicated to what we were trying to build, and going in the direction that we were trying to go. So that's kind of what I saw last year. A lot of guys bought in. A lot of guys wanted to do different things and be that first building block for what is getting ready to start at Eisenhower. I was very impressed with how they handled things, especially as soon as we had last year. They knew what we were up against. They knew the battles that we were going to have, and they took that battle and they just kind of steamrolled through. We have all grown to really into the brotherly love and into a family, and their focus was we have to get a win for Coach Jay, because we want to be the start of things. We want things to start with us, and we're going to do whatever it takes to just continue to push forward. So what they did for throughout the duration of that season was amazing.
Coming into the summer, Coach Johnson started to do a little more with the kids. They started back with June camps and workouts, and in July, Coach Johnson took his team to the SIU 7-on-7.
Just to continue to show up, continue to progress, and to again lay the next foundation and into building. And like I said, just continue to work hard. We knew a lot of kids were doing other sports and those different kind of things. So I was just asking them to, make sure they participate. We got quite a group of kids to come out to do some football things. We actually this year we went to Southern Illinois and Carmerdale, and we attended their 7-on-7 tournament, where we had a group of kids who went there and just gave it their all. And I mean, they really worked hard and they really enjoyed themselves, because the goal is to get them to experience different kinds of football, right? A different atmosphere of what football is, what it's about, and how fun it can really be. I mean, the whole trip, they enjoyed the whole trip. They enjoyed SIU Carbondale. They really enjoyed the atmosphere, and they had the opportunity to see a really good football atmosphere with all the different teams. There was teams from Illinois, teams from Missouri, St. Louis, Chicago. Rochester was there. So they had the opportunity to really see football being played.
As Coach Johnson continues to build the Eisenhower football program, what's the next step for it?
Participation, and keep being able to keep the kids around, and just being able to build something to build off from, and that's what we're really looking at. Something that we can build from. So in a carrying of a momentum. So again, we feel like winning that game, second to the last week last year, that was a momentum that's building for us. We're just building up. So we all want to win right off the bat. But again, I'm learning to be patient with it, understanding that Rome wasn't built in a day. Just taking my time with everything and just trying to establish a firm foundation. And I think we'll have an opportunity to do that this season. We're going to be very experienced at the cornerback position. We're going to be very experienced at the receiver position. Of course, we're going to be experienced with our quarterback position, with Darian Alexander coming back, Gary Gardner coming back at the receiver position, Marshawn Cooper coming back from the cornerback position in the receiver position. So those are the areas that we're going to be very experienced at, and again, just increasing their football IQ, helping, and again, they've been participating all summer and doing what they need to do to get better as well.
Coach Johnson also believes one of the next steps is to bring the school and community on board with what they're doing. He points out one of the challenges for the program has been the turnover in the head coach position. He hopes to be around for a while and be someone those entities get to know. Eisenhower opens its 2023 fall season at home hosting Jacksonville. In a game heard on WHOW, Andrew Heaney struck out 11 without a walk while throwing 2-hit ball over 6 innings. Mitch Garver and Adolis Garcia hit solo home runs, and the AL West leading Rangers won 2-0 Tuesday night in a game that took just an hour and 58 minutes to play, the shortest 9-inning game since 2007. White Sox rookie Jesse Schultens struck out 6, walked 1, and hit a batter in 6 innings. The right-hander and 2 relievers limited Texas to 4 hits, the 2 solo homers and 2 singles by all-star second baseman Marcus Semien. Chicago lost for the 8th time in 10 games while having only 3 hits and being held scoreless for the 9th time this season. The Sox made 3 deals Tuesday, part of 6 deals overall since last week when they traded 6 pitchers and an infielder. Dane Dunning will start for the Rangers in the middle game of the 3-game series. Dylan Cease, who is just 1-1 in his last 11 starts, gets the ball for the Sox. Dansby Swanson homered and drove in 5 runs as the Cubs pounded the Reds 20-9 Tuesday night. Mike Tachman went deep and finished with 4 RBIs as Chicago won for the 9th time in 11 games, bouncing back in a major way after a 6-5 loss in the opener of the 4-game series. The Cubs bashed 7 homers while setting season highs for runs and hits with 21. Jamir Calendario went 4 for 5 and scored 2 runs since he was reacquired in his first game, since he was reacquired by Chicago in a trade with Washington Monday. Candelario made his big league debut with the Cubs in 2016. Chicago pulled within 4 games of the Central leading Reds. They're 3.5 games out in the wild card race. Tyler Stevenson hit a 2-run homer for Cincinnati. Matt McClain had 3 hits and 2 RBIs. Christian Encarnacion Strand added a 2-run single in the team's 4-run 9th inning. Cincinnati had its division lead trimmed to a half game over Milwaukee, which won 6-4 at Washington. Swanson hit a 3-run homer in Chicago's 5-run first against Ben Lively. He added a 2-run drive in the 4th for his 15th homer this season, helping the Cubs build a 13-2 lead. Cody Bellinger, Nico Horner, Patrick Wisdom, and Miguel Amaya also went deep. Wisdom and Amaya connected against catcher Luke Molly, who got the final 4 outs for the Reds. The 7 homers for Chicago matched a modern franchise record for the team, last accomplished in 1977. Lively was charged with a career-high 13 runs and 13 hits in 4 innings. He became the first Reds pitcher to allow 13 runs in a game since Charles King Lear allowed 13 in 8 innings on July 24th, 1915, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. The 13 earned runs were the most surrendered by a big league pitcher since Ben Mazzaro was charged with 14 in an outing for the Royals in May 2011 against Cleveland. Cubs left-hander Justin Steele went 6 innings in his 3rd consecutive win. He permitted 5 runs, 4 were earned, and 9 hits. He'll get the start tonight for the Cubs. Drew Smiley starts Wednesday night for Chicago. Brandon Williamson pitches for Cincinnati in a matchup of left-handers. Donovan Solano hit a tie-breaking 2-run single in the 7th inning. Pablo Lopez tossed 6 effective innings as the AL Central leading Twins snapped a 5-game skid with a 3-2 win over St. Louis Tuesday night. Minnesota was coming off a 3-game sweep to the Royals and have lost the last 2 games of a 3-game set against the Mariners. The Twins hold a 2-game lead in the division over Cleveland, which was no hit Tuesday night. Tyler O'Neill homered for St. Louis, which has lost 4 of its last 5 and 8 of 11. Miles Michaelis gave up 3 runs on 6 hits in 7 innings. He was ejected in his previous start against the Cubs after just 14 pitches. He plunked Ian Happ with a pitch after Happ caught catcher Wilson Contreras with a swing that knocked Contreras out of the game. Michaelis was suspended 5 games for the incident, but has appealed the suspension. Minnesota right-hander Joe Ryan starts the 2nd game of the 3-game set Wednesday. He'll be facing the Cardinals for the first time in his career. He's 5-8 with a 5.4 ERA when facing a team for the initial time. St. Louis announced after the game Dakota Hudson will make his 2nd start of the season. The Miami Marlins acquired infielder Jake Berger from the Chicago White Sox and first baseman Josh Bell from the Cleveland Guardians at the Tuesday trade deadline as the teams bolster their lineup for a playoff push. Miami sent pitching prospect Jake Eater to Chicago in exchange for Berger and dealt infielder Gene Segura and infield prospect Khalil Watson to Cleveland for Bell. Segura was released by the Guardians. The 27-year-old Berger is tied for 8th in the big leagues with 25 homers this season. He's hitting a home run in every 11.76 at-bats, the 2nd best mark in the AL behind Shohei Ohtani. The Marlins gave up a top pitching prospect in Eater, who was their number 4 ranked pitching prospect, according to MLB.com. But Miami needed to add a power bat to a lineup ranked third to last in home runs and bottom 5 in runs scored. The Orioles face a daunting task down the stretch as they try to hold off the rest of a loaded field in the American League East. Their rotation has been adequate so far, but there's a lot of innings still to come. So they added right-hander Jack Flaherty in a trade with the St. Louis Cardinals. The Orioles hope the 27-year-old will provide enough of a boost to help them stay atop the division. It wasn't the biggest move Tuesday by any means, but Baltimore acquired Flaherty without giving up any of the top names in a stellar farm system. Flaherty can become a free agent after the season, but the Orioles did not part with any of their 8 prospects ranked in baseball's top 100 by MLB Pipeline. They gave up infielder Cesar Prieto, left-hander Drew Rom, and right-hander Zach Showalter. Prieto is Baltimore's number 16 prospect and Rom number 18. Flaherty is 7-6 with a 4.43 ERA this season for St. Louis, who are mired in last place in the NL Central. St. Louis also dealt left-hander Jordan Montgomery to Texas on Sunday. Flaherty was 5th in the NL Rookie of the Year voting in 2018, and the following year he went 11-8 with a 2.75 ERA for the Cardinals and was 4th in the Cy Young Award. His performance has been more ordinary since then, with ERAs over 4 in 2020, 22, and again this year. The Yankees made a pair of relatively minor moves at the deadline, acquiring reliever Kenyon Middleton from the Sox on Tuesday. The 29-year-old Middleton is 2-2 with 2 saves and a 3.96 ERA in 39 relief appearances this season, striking out 47, but walking 16 and allowing 7 home runs in 36 1/3 innings. Middleton, who became a free agent after the World Series, is 10-8 with 15 saves and a 4 ERA in 1 start and 192 relief appearances between playing for the Dodgers, Mariners, Diamondbacks, and now the Sox. Corella, a 21-year-old right-hander, is 2-4 with a 3.67 ERA in 16 starts and a relief appearance with Class A Hudson Valley for the Yankees. He was acquired as a part of the Middleton trade for the Sox. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio weather forecast sponsored by ServPro of Piatt and DeWitt counties, offering cleaning, restoration, and construction. Cloudy skies expected today with a slight chance for scattered storms. High of 80.